You know that dream, right? Waking up, grabbing your phone, and seeing sales notifications that popped up overnight. The idea of building a real business from your own home, sharing something you're passionate about, and actually achieving financial freedom? Well, today we're going to break that down. We're diving into how you can build a six-figure ebook empire from the very first idea all the way to a real profitable business. And look, this right here, this is the goal. This quote from author Ines Johnson, it's not some far-off fantasy. It's a real result that real people are achieving. It's the destination. But as you're about to see, the map to get there, well, it's not what you probably think.
I mean, the picture it paints is just so appealing, isn't it? The creator Marshall Malaba talks about this ideal situation. You create an ebook one time, pop it on your website, and it just makes money for you every single day. You get to be creative, you are your own boss, and you build real wealth by owning your own time.
Okay, but before we all quit our jobs and start writing, we need a serious dose of reality. The path to a six-figure income, especially the way we think it works, is loaded with financial traps most people never, ever see. So let's deconstruct the dream and look at the real numbers. You hear the phrase six-figure book deal and your mind just goes there, right? You're imagining this massive, life-altering check, the kind of money that lets you just walk away from your day job and write full-time without a single worry in the world. We're talking $200,000, yeah? So what if I told you that massive $200,000 deal actually looks like this number per year? 27.5 grand. Just let that sink in for a moment. How is that even possible? So how on earth does that happen? Well, as writer Allison K. Williams breaks it down, that big $200,000 advance, it's usually paid out in 4 separate chunks, a full year apart. So you take out the 15% agent fee, then you account for about 30% in taxes, and suddenly that six-figure dream shrinks down to just $27,500 a year. That's barely enough to live on. All right, so if chasing that giant traditional book deal isn't the golden ticket, then what is? The journey to a real, sustainable ebook income, it starts somewhere much more basic. It all begins with an idea that people are actually excited to pay for. This is it. This is the most important question you will ever answer in this business. Seriously, according to super successful creators like Marshall Malaba and Niharika Karasati, profitable ebooks aren't about just writing whatever you feel like. No, they're about solving a specific problem for a specific group of people. Your own expertise, the things you've learned, the challenges you've personally conquered, that's where the real gold is. And you know what the best part is? You don't need some fancy, expensive market research team. Just go on YouTube, find a popular video in your niche, and scroll down to the comments. What are people asking over and over again? Look at sites like Quora. As Niharika Sadi points out, your own DMs and comments are a direct line to your audience's biggest frustrations. So once you've locked in that problem-solving idea, the next big step is, well, actually making the thing. This is where so many people get stuck. They think it's going to take months, maybe even years. But honestly, it really doesn't have to. Let's check out a couple of seriously powerful shortcuts. Here is a genius way to get this done fast. Marshall Malaba lays out a method where you never start from that scary blank page. You just gather up those real questions your audience is asking, open a Google Doc, turn on the voice typing feature, and just talk. You just speak the answers out loud. It's natural, it's fast, and it directly solves their problems. Then you hop over to Canva, design a professional-looking cover, and boom, you have a product. Now, that method is incredibly fast, but what if I told you there's a way that could be even faster? A method that lets you tap into a huge library of amazing content that you can legally use for free. Yeah, it sounds a little too good to be true, but I promise you it is very real. Let me introduce you to your new best friend, the public domain. Basically, these are creative works, books, art, you name it, that are so old their copyright has expired. And what does that mean? It means nobody owns them anymore. They belong to everyone, which means you are free to use them, repackage them, and even sell them. So here's the hack, as explained by the channel Struggleville 2. You go to a site like Project Gutenberg, which is full of these books, and find a classic in your niche. Now, you can't just copy and paste it. That's key. You have to add value. The easiest way? Find at least 10 public domain images that fit the text and create your very own illustrated edition. Just like that, you've created a unique product without writing the main text yourself. Pretty clever, right? Okay, so making the product is one thing.
But building a sustainable six-figure business, that's a whole other ballgame. And it requires a really important mental shift. You have to stop thinking only like a writer and start thinking like a publisher. This quote from author Steph Green just nails it. You need to be able to wear two different hats. The writer's hat is for the art, the creativity, for getting those words on the page. But the publisher's hat? That's for strategy. That's for making the smart, calculated business decisions that will actually grow your income over the long term.
So, what does a publisher actually think about? Well, first up is branding. What is the promise you're making to your reader? Like Inez Johnson, you might use different pen names for different genres to keep your brand promise crystal clear for each audience. Second, scheduling. Consistency is everything. You need to know your words per hour so you can plan a realistic release calendar for the year. And finally, you have to figure out distribution. And this right here is a major fork in the road. You can go exclusive with Amazon's Kindle Unlimited. The pro? You get access to their gigantic pool of subscribers. The con? All your eggs are in one Amazon-shaped basket. Or you can go wide, selling on Apple Books, Kobo, all the other platforms. Inez Johnson chose to go wide. Why? Because she'd been laid off from a job before and never again wanted to be dependent on a single source of income. That diversification, for her, meant security.
All right, so we've covered the idea, the creation process, and the business strategy. But there is one final piece to this puzzle. A one weird trick, as Allison K. Williams puts it, that really separates the people who dabble from the people who build six-figure careers. And trust me, it is probably not what you're thinking. So let's just ask the question straight up. What is this mysterious secret? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not some clever marketing hack or a secret writing shortcut. It is a fundamental change in how you approach your entire career.
The trick is generosity. I know, probably not the answer you were expecting, but it's about being generous in two ways. First, to your reader. As Allison K. Williams says, give away a sample of your very best stuff and you've got a customer for life. Don't hold back. But it's also about being generous to your peers, sharing what you've learned about pricing, about marketing, about what's working. Because when you help your colleagues climb the ladder, you lift the entire community, and that goodwill comes back to you big time.
And that brings us to this final piece of advice from Steph Green. Building an ebook empire is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not an overnight success story. It's built book by book, series by series, with smart decisions, consistency, and a spirit of generosity. So the single most important thing you can possibly do, just keep going.